Hi everybody. So in this video, we're going to really quickly go over the base graphs. Okay, so the first one that you see here is the base graph that we went over when we were talking about graphing base graphs and transformations for parabolas. Okay, so that's the y equals x squared graph, and I'm just going to mark the key points that we talked about already, and I'll list them for you here. Okay, so the key points were -1, 1, 0, 0, and 1, 1. Okay, you can see that there's other base graphs now, and so what we're going to talk about in this section and the next section is how to graph using transformations like we did for parabolas, but with all different types of base graphs. Okay, so our second base graph here is going to be y equals x cubed. Okay, so my first key point is going to be this one that I've marked here, which is -1, -1. Okay, then I'm going to have my key point here at the center, which is 0, 0. Okay, and my third key point here, which is 1, 1. Okay, now you can find this sheet that has all of the base graphs on our Canvas. It's in the Modeling Functions and Graphs module. Okay, but you can't see the the key points, right? So you guys will have to write the key points in for yourself, just like I am now. But you can print off this sheet or at least look at the PDF that has every single base graph. Okay, so y equals absolute value of x, our three key points are going to be this one, and this one. Okay, so this will be -1, 1, 0, 0, and 1, 1. Okay, this is our base graph for y equals square root of x. Okay, so our key points are going to be here, here, and here. Okay, so those points will be 0, 0, 1, 1, and 4, 2. Okay, this is our cube root of x graph. Okay, so this is here, here, and here. So this will be -1, -1, 0, 0, and 1, 1. Okay, so you guys can see so far that the key points are normally for the x values of -1, 0, and 1, unless there's a reason that you can't use those. So this case, for example, right, you can't have x equals -1. So we have still 0 and 1, but then we have an extra point that's further out. Okay? All right. So for 1 over x, we know we can't have 0. Okay, so this graph only has two key points. It's this one here, which is -1, -1. Okay, and this point here, which is 1, 1. Okay, but this graph also has two key features. Okay, there's a vertical line and a horizontal line that really show you the shape of the graph. Okay, so you're going to have this line here, okay, which the graph does not go across, okay, and this line here that the graph does not go across. Okay, and when we graph this, you'll see that we're going to graph that in by dotting it. Okay, so here's our key points, but we also have the lines x equals 0 and y equals 0, right? Y equals 0, x equals 0. Okay, the next base graph is really similar. Okay, this one here. Okay, so it has two key points also. Here's a key point. This is -1, 1. And here's our second key point here. This is 1, 1. Okay, but we have two key features for this graph. So we have this line along the bottom that the graph doesn't cross. Okay, and then we have this line in the center that the graph doesn't cross. Okay, so those again are at x equals 0, right, for the center line, and y equals 0 for the line underneath the graph. Okay. Now, this is the base graph for a line. It is the most basic line, y equals x, okay? But we know so much about graphing lines that this is not really a method that we use to graph lines, okay? We usually use slope and intercept, slope and point, or x and y intercepts, okay? So we're not in general going to use this base graph, okay? And we are going to talk about graphing circles much later in the class. So in this section, the graphs that we're going to talk about, there are 7 of them, okay? These first 3, the second 3, and then the 1 over x squared graph, okay? So the first 7 graphs on this sheet are the ones that we're going to use for this section, okay? I hope that makes sense. I know this was a short video, but we will get to graphing using transformations in the next video. I'll see you guys soon.